Tired of missing exact points in AutoCAD like other basic learners? Object Snap is AutoCAD's secret weapon. Fast and easy. Let's master it now. Hello and welcome back to AutoCAD 2025 series from Basic. In the continue of this series, today we will learn how to draw more exact in AutoCAD by object snaps. So, as you see in our table of content, in this session we are going to learn what is object snap, how to access object snap, explanation of each object snaps mode, and running object snap and object snap override, what is the difference between them, and customizing our object snap setting. So if you want to be a master on object snap, be with me during this tutorial. Let's crush it. Let's see at first what is an object snap. Object snap is a construction tool or a drafting aid that helps our drawings to be more exact. What is the meaning of that? Let's see it by an example. I want to draw a line here. Now, I want to use its endpoint. It means that to draw another line from its endpoint. If I use the line, now I pick this point, but if I zoom in, as you can see, it's not the exact endpoint of that. So, as far as I zoom in and guess the endpoint, again, it will not be as exact as we use our object snap. So object snaps helps us to draw exactly the endpoint, the midpoint, or the intersection point of some lines and the center and different cases that we will confront with them in our following parts. But now we learned what is an object snap. It helps our works and drawings to be more exact. Now, let's see how we can access our object snap. We have different ways to access our object snap. The first part and the first case is coming to our status bar, and to this part, as you can see, is snap cursor to 2D reference point. It means the object snap. The short form is O snap. In your command line, you can type that. If we left click on this, now it is active. We can make it active by our control key of F3. So I use Fn and F3 in my laptop. As you can see, I can turn it on and off. The other way is using this menu bar. From here, the tools, toolbars, AutoCAD, and from here, object snap. Now I have my toolbars of object snap here. I can move it here and change it, for example, in this location. Now I have access to this. And the other way to use object snap is using in the middle of our drawing. For example, I have my line active. I draw a line. Now I can right click, and from here, object snap overrides. I can have access to these parts. But there is difference between these object snaps and the ones that I have mentioned you. So we learn different ways. We can come to this part and see object snaps. Different object snaps are active here. To have access to the object snap setting, we can click to this part, and now I have access to all of the object snaps at here. Now, from here, as you see, the key control is F3. I can also turn it on and off from here, my object snap. If I turn it off and say OK, as you can see, this part is inactive. Now I go to object snap and I make it active. From here we can use select all to select all of our object snaps, or clear all means that making none of them active. But let's select all. But at this point I want to tell you that try not to use all of them as at once, because it makes your drawing somehow hard and it makes the confusing part of and makes the drawing confused for you. So I come here and I say OK. Now my object snap is active. We learn different ways to access our object snap. The third one is what each object snap mode is. So let me use my line. I have this line here. As you know, previously I used this part, and if I zoom in, you see that it's not the exact endpoint of this. But when I have my object snap in active mode, if I come near my object, which is line here, you can see a sign which can be in a square form, a triangle form with green color, which is the default color of object snap in AutoCAD. If I come here, you can see at endpoint of this line a green square. Let's see. As you see, it is the object snap. Now, if I click at this point and draw a line and say enter, how I zoom in, it is exactly the end point of my line, and it's the accurate form. We can access to all of these object snaps here. As you can see, we will learn some of them today because some of them needs more tutorial on learning circles and other things. As you see here, the endpoint and midpoint are active. If I come to middle of my line, as you see now, you can see the green triangle. If I come here, as you can see, I have my green triangle here, and if I draw a line, now it is exactly the middle of this line. It means that this part and this part are equal to each other, the distance. Now I come to this part and we will go through one by one what is the meaning of them. Let me clear all and say start with endpoint. To talk about endpoint, as I told you, we can use the end of our objects in the line. The end means that the start part and end part of the line can be chosen by selecting this on. And we learned about the midpoint. Now imagine that you have a line, the object, any object. The midpoint of that can be selected by having this active. I will talk about center, geometric center at our next tutorial when we learned about circle. Because we need to learn what is circle and also polygons, then after that we can work with them easily. The other one is node. It means that when we draw a point, now a point can be our object. In that case, we can choose or select our node by having this mode active. The other case is also quadrant, which I will talk later, and the other one is intersection. Now I have these two ones active. Let's talk about intersection, and I make the remaining inactive. As you can see, if I come here line, and if I try to choose the end part, I can, because they are not active, I cannot have an access to the end point or midpoint. But y, as you can see here, is active. Here it's not the midpoint, it's the intersection of two lines here. As you can see, this line and this line have an intersection with each other. The intersection point here is shown by a cross sign. Now, as you see, if I zoom in, it shows that it's the intersection point of this point. If I come here, the end point of this line and this line's end point have a cross section with each other, intersection with each other. If I come here, I can also have access to their intersection point too. You can also activate from here too, but I will go to this part to have access to all of them. It was also about intersection. Let's see about extension. If I activate extension, you know better than me. For example, I have a line. I want to draw a line from its extension, but not from its endpoint. The extension of that line. Let's see what is that. If I again activate my line, I don't want to draw this part. I want to have a distance from this part, but in its extension part. Now I can come here and say that in its extension. As you can see, it brings me somehow a construction line, and I can say that okay, thank you, and I draw from this part and it's my line. This line is the extension of this previous line, the start point, and I can continue it to other part. Now, let's see about the intersection, the insertion. We will talk also about this later, about the perpendicular. As you can see, when I have a horizontal line. How we can turn on our horizontal and vertical line? Perfect. By F8 or by our ortho mode. I can come here and turn this on. Now I can draw horizontal and vertical. This is my horizontal line. Now I want to draw a perpendicular line to my horizontal line, which should be a vertical form. I don't want to use this ortho mode. I come here and from this part, let me for example turn this off. Now, as you remember previously, if our ortho mode were inactive, we were not able to draw exactly the vertical line, means that the perpendicular line to our horizontal one. But now, if because my perpendicular object snap is active now, I can come here and say that, as you see, it brings somehow half of a square, as you can see the sign. And if I select my line, as you see, it shows that this line, now you can select your second point, means that the end point of your line. But if you choose any point, this line will be perpendicular to your first part. And I say OK and enter. Now this line is perpendicular to my previous line. As you see, this helps us to make our drawing more accurate and exact, also fast during our working with these object snaps. And the other one is tangent. We will talk about them on circle. And about the nearest, again, I want to talk about them later. The other one that we want to talk today is parallel. I check it now, and as you see, I want to draw a parallel line to this line. So I come to this line and I say that I want to draw a line which I want to be parallel to this. How I did this, I come again out and show you again this process. I need to select my first point. Now I have my first point. I say that which object do you want to be parallel this object? I say this object. I select this. If I come to my lines, straight line, as you can see, it brings me a green dash line. It shows that if you draw on this, it will be exactly parallel to your previous line. So we learned the property and workability of different object snaps, but they are not complete. We learned some of them which we were able to work with them till now, because until now we haven't worked on circle. If we learn how to draw a circle, I promise you I will inform you about the remaining two. So wait for our next tutorials and you can find more info in them. Now we learned how to each object snap mode is. So we learned about each object snap. Now let's learn what is running object snap and object snap override. As you can see, if we come here and select one of these object snaps from here, for example, I say I want to have endpoint, midpoint, and parallel. I can come also in the setting and say that I want to have, for example, another intersection too. I say OK. Here, the object snaps are active all during my working with AutoCAD until the F3 control key or the object snap is active. If I have my object snap active in any part of drawing, I can use them effortlessly. We call them running object snaps, so they are active all the process. But now let me say, for example, I draw this and I want to have some of them active. For example, I want to have active endpoint and intersection extension. And now I say that, as you can see from here, the endpoint and the extension are active till this part. But I want to say that you can use sometimes just for one usage. What is the meaning of that? We didn't understand. As I told you, the previous one, which was running object snap, they are active all the time in AutoCAD. But which of them are mostly used by you. It means that they have most application with you. You can use them in our running object snap. You can have active them all the time because activating all of the object snaps makes your drawing more complicated. But if and makes you confused. But if you, for example, use some of them rarely, you want to make them inactive in running object snap, but you can use object snap overrides to use them one time. You can, for example, use line. Here, I can say that I want to have access to its middle point. I don't use midpoint. For example, use the midpoint. As you can see now, the endpoints are active. To use the midpoint, I can use the shift and right click. If I can keep shift and right click, I can have access to my object snap overrides. It means that now I can activate them one time for just this drawing. For example, I want to use the midpoint. Now my midpoint is active. If I draw this line and say enter, if I draw my line again, this part again, the midpoint is not active. So we call them object snap overrides. It means that one time they are active and they are not active for all of the times. So we use these ones overrides for the cases that we use them rarely and it's not commonly used in our project. But I suggest you the ones that you want to use mostly. For example, most applicable ones are midpoint, endpoint, not extension, for example, the intersection point based on your project. But try to have these ones, our center that we'll talk about them, active all the time. So if I check them now, because I have my midpoint, now I changed my midpoint to running object snap and it's active in all of my parts and all during my drawing. Now, as you saw, we will talk about customizing object snap setting. We learned that we have different object snaps and their color here was in different shape and different colors. For example, their color was green. Now, maybe someone don't like this color. You can come to this option from object snap setting and from here, auto snap settings, you can say that I want to show markers, the magnets, or display the auto snap tooltips. But here I can come into the colors. Here is intrinsically green. If I use, for example, the other color, for example, I say red, and apply and close and say OK. I say OK. This time, as you see, their color changed to red one. It was also a tip and bonus for you to learn how to make this personalize this customization for you. Now I come here and I change it to AutoCAD's intrinsic color suggestion, which was our green color, but it was not exactly the same color of green that, and I will change them later. And as you see, in this time is somehow light green color than previous one. That's it, and thanks for watching. Our next tutorial will be learning about circle, how to draw a circle in different ways. After that, we will be able to talk about more information about the object snaps. So wait for our next tutorial. If this tutorial was useful for you, like this and also subscribe for more videos that are coming soon. Also, I want to ask you and answer it in this comment below, which of these object snap is mostly used by you? Right there, and I will wait for your answers. Thanks for watching, best wishes, take care and goodbye.